Hi, I'm Natalie Santini of SoHungryHippie.com, and I'm here on a Friday live sesh. I'm going to do a demo today. And I just want to start off by saying that this is my method that I have used for over, I don't know, 12 years now, and it works. I wash my clothes. I'm not precious with anything I own. Good morning. And so I know this works, but it's not technically what a professional seamstress would probably do for a lining. So I just want to get that out of the way first, okay? Hi everyone. So good to see you. Today I will be demonstrating the Strata top. I'm going to sew most of it up because this is a really fast pattern, and I'm going to take you from how I'm cutting it out if I'm using my home sewing machine all the way through to adding the lining. And I have some pieces already cut, so I'm just going to show you this one piece here first. I am using my home sewing machine because you can absolutely sew garments with a home sewing machine. You don't have to use a serger, okay? You don't need anything special other than a zigzag stitch, which most machines will have that. I'm using Gutermann all-purpose thread because I use it in 99.9% of the projects that I do. I have a universal chrome needle in, size 8012. I am using a metallic woven fabric from Ruby Star Society. And because I'm going to take you overhead and show you this fabric. It has this metallic gold thread all through it. Can you maybe zoom in, Ramel? And when you have a fabric with so much metallic in it, a lot of times on the wrong side, it can feel a little bit itchy against the skin. Not always, but this one does. And part of that could also be because I have developed later in life a skin problem. And so I'm very tactile. I don't like anything wool based. I don't like itching. I don't like tags. I don't like a whole bunch of things that never used to bother me. So that's why I am going to walk you through this. This is, by the way, candlelit. Oh, I forgot my glasses. This, no, I've got them here. Oh, I can't even read it, like whatsoever. Not at all. Aging can sometimes be cruel. I love it for other reasons, though. I'm wiser and I don't take a bunch of crap. Okay. Wow, I don't have them here at all. Must be in my car. That's okay. It's Candlelit Woven Something or Other by Ruby Star Society. So I'm going to use my Kai pinking shears. This is what I do when I cut out the pattern pieces if I'm not using a serger. And I'll tell you why. It helps prevent fraying. It's not 100%, but because the seam that's being cut are these little tiny seams, it helps prevent fraying in a way. Oh, sure. So I've got this pattern piece on the fold over here. It's just a very simple shape. You don't have to be super precious about this. Just cut out your garment. I do tend to cut garments with a little bit of ease because I'm always paranoid I'm going to make something too small and not wear it ever. Oh no. Okay. Mine says that it's green, Ramel. Okay, back out a little bit so we can get the whole thing in the picture here. Thanks. I'm just...
Can everyone hear us now? Hopefully that fixed it.
Let us know in the comments if you can hear me all right. Okay, so that is this piece. Now, please tell me I brought the lining with me. Back. Yes, I already cut out my lining. So for my lining, I'm using this. It's actually sold as lining material. Some people will sell this as China silk, but it just means that it's not 100% real silk because you can't machine wash silk, as you know. So this is like a polyester silk. It's soft and silky against your skin. It slides very easily. This is usually what is in, let's say, like blazer linings. That feel, that smooth, cool, silky feel, this is it most times. Okay, so now that I cut out the lining as well with my pinking shears, as you can see these jaggedy edges. So I'm going to take the wrong side, which can be very difficult to see on a woven like this, but I see it. I'm just going to lay it so that the wrong side is facing my lining. If you're lining, a lot of linings you can't tell the right from the wrong side. I don't know if it really matters. This one feels the same on both sides. I'm putting these together, and you can use clips or pins, just like this. And then I am going to baste all around the entire edge and connect these. Okay, just like this. As long as it's pretty smooth, you're good to go. I'll probably, I'm going to sew it from this side because I cut that exterior a little bit larger, it looks like. As long as your pins are out of the way of where you're sewing, you're safe. So I'm going to turn my machine to a large stitch. I'm going to do 4.5, and I'm just going to baste all the way around. There's nothing. Uh-oh. Did you thread my machine, Ramel? Something's not right here. Okay. No, I can see what happened here. You didn't catch this little arm thing. Yeah, you're probably going to have to come over and thread the needle. Jeez. Okay. Don't have a...
I'm okay.
Okay. So just put this through the... Maybe I can do it.
Hi, everyone.
That's my trick to get Ramel on camera.
Well, it worked, I guess.
I'm not seeing that.
Okay, let's see.
Needle hole.
I'm going to do... See,
Careful with that. You're a novice.
Yeah, you don't want to do this.
They have more experience than you.
Yeah, I just want to get confirmation that I'm doing it right. So...
Oh, where's your glasses?
Come on. It's going to work. Ta-da! See?
Okay, and don't let it get twisted there.
No. See that?
All right, now I got to pull my bobbin thread up. Now we're good. Now I'm going to baste all the way around the edges. Thank you, Ramel.
Of course.
You might need to use a lot more pins holding your layers together. I've done this a lot, so I'm just holding them for the most part with those 5 pins. But whatever you need to do, it's totally fine. Oh, I guess I should have the camera on the machine. And that thing is pretty reflecty, so let's do this. Anytime I stop, I have to make sure my needle is down, lift my foot to turn, and then keep going. And no stretching or pulling, I'm just letting the feed dogs do the work. The seam allowance on this garment is 5/8 inch. So right now, this is probably like a 1/2 inch seam allowance that I'm using. And I know that it'll be hidden in the final seam. And I'm going to skip that armhole for the moment because I didn't cut that very perfectly. So then, when this is all basted, we can just treat this as one piece. We don't have to do anything special. It just makes it really easy. Look at me trying to look elsewhere. And if you have a little, don't let that stop you. Just keep going. It's going to be fine. This garment is very forgiving and loose, and that's part of the reason I really love it.
I love Dan.
Oh, Danny's here? Man of action. Okay, so now the piece is one, and it'll be silky on the inside, and that's it. Like, that's all you have to do. There's only 3 pieces to this pattern, so it goes together really quickly. It's a great stash buster. I've made it in quilting cotton, and I've made it in linen and in rayon. All are comfortable. The look varies a little bit according to your fabric. So if you want it to be slinky and drapey close to your body, use a rayon. If you don't mind if it's a little boxier and stands out a little bit, then use a quilting cotton. But I will say not all quilting cottons behave the same. So a lot of times it'll feel boxy when I first put it on, and then after a wash, it's wonderful. It's much softer. Okay, so I will baste this one too. Sometimes I cut these too generously, but I like to have too much room rather than not enough room, because I can always go in and cut down the seam if I need to. So I'm gonna just pin it a few pins. You want to use sharp pins when you're working with wovens and silkier fabrics, because if your pins are old, you'll feel it kind of grab your fabric and it can tear the threads. So, you know, they sell all kinds of specialty pins in the world. But I just say have your nice pins, have your used pins, keep them separate. I'm just trimming this one down a little bit because I gave myself a little too much ease with the exterior fabric. And all the things I make can be sewn, or sorry, washed. Washed in the washing machine. I made the mistake once of buying a sweater that was really expensive, and I think maybe it was cashmere. And I put it in the washing machine and it came out like a Cabbage Patch size. Yes, it's like one fabric, Barbara. That's exactly correct. That's it. You see how simple that is? That's why I say, like, there's more than one way to do something, and whatever you do is right if it works for you. I'll have to get back to that, Ramel. Okay, so now I am just going to baste this one real quick. Try not to pull. This fabric, both of these do not have stretch, but even when a fabric says non-stretch, there is a tendency that you can warp it a bit if you're pulling, so try not to pull. I really try to remember that my feed dogs should be doing the work, not me. And especially around this neckline. So right now at the neckline, you want to come in from one side, take it out, and then from the other side of the neckline, come in like this. And then you've skipped the first step in the pattern. You've already done the little sewing trick at the neckline to stop it from warping. It can happen easily on garments. Most patterns will tell you to do that. So let me lay it out on the table and I'll show you exactly what I mean. So a lot of garments that I've sewn around this neckline, you start over here, you sew in and stop, and then you start over here, you sew in and you stop. And that's to prevent the neckline from getting huge, from growing. Okay? Oh, and then I messed it up. That's okay. Let's see. I should have done it with this fabric on the top. You see? I know better, but I was busy talking. Oh dear, this is dangerous. I don't have my glasses. But you know what? We're gonna make it work. Again, with the scalpel, it is so much easier than with the seam ripper, especially when using a delicate fabric like this. Because you're just coming in like a surgical boss and getting those threads. Yeah. Surgical boss. If only those surgeons could see me now. I'm just kidding. I used to be in the OR. Did I tell you guys I was a OR nurse for a few years? That's how, is that how we met? No, we met on a blind date. What am I thinking?
Double blind date.
Double blind date. My friend Alison. But I worked at your work, at your building, your work building. So you would have met me at some point, probably. I probably would have scared you.
No, you would not.
Okay, so here we go. Let's see if I can fix this. I'm going to have to let out a couple more threads on that. Curves, sometimes you have to ease. Just be nice to yourself. Like, think of me. I mess up all the time, and I make it work, and nobody knows. So don't be hard on yourself. Like, with sewing, you can fix so much in the seam allowance. I feel like it's the best craft ever. It's the Strata. I linked it in the description, and I think Ramel put it. If you're on YouTube, it's there. Yep. This is the Strata top that we're doing. Okay, so neckline fixed. No reason to cry. So now we're just going to sew the top together, and yes, it's that fast. Okay, what is it? Should you use the Teflon foot for the lining? No, I have my Teflon foot on. You can use the Teflon foot for everything, and I just tend to keep mine on because the most of the time I am sewing vinyl. So you're watching me sew with a Teflon foot, but normally I would have a regular foot on if I had it here. But my parts and my machines go back and forth between my house and the store, and I just forget. So, true story. I make it work. I hope I don't have to pay Tim Gunn royalties for that. All right, here we go. So now I should probably look at the pattern, but I mean, most tops go together the same way. So I'm pretty sure we're just going to sew the shoulder seams. Everything hangs on your shoulders, a top in a dress. So you want to make sure that your shoulder seams are ace, and then everything else is cake. Yep, shoulder seams, and then from the bottom of the sleeve down, and the top is together. Isn't that amazing? And because we pinked, all I'm going to do is a zigzag stitch, and that's it. That's all I have to do. I don't have to go back and serge this if I don't want to. I might, because sometimes I'm extra, but I don't have to. All right, so I am going to pin it, and then I will sew this baby together. I'm just trimming some of the excess seam allowance away a little bit. You don't have to do that. It's just I don't know. I like not having a lot of stuff in my way when I'm sewing. Does that make sense? Is this, yeah, this is the one. So I'm going to go from, no, don't zoom in. I'm going to go from up here and sew out, and from up here and sew out. And then what I'm going to do is from here and down, and from here and down. See how extra huge I cut this one piece? I must have not been totally on the fold. Well, yeah, I absolutely must not have been. That's okay, we can fix it now. That's the beauty of being a sewist. I'll have to go back in and base that edge. I was in a hurry this morning, what can I say? Tori needed my attention. Sure, go ahead. Read it to me.
I don't have a serger, and I use the overcast stitch.
Yeah, I'm not using a serger. You can use whatever. I'm a big fan of experimenting and finding what works for you. You don't even have to use the overcast stitch. If that scares you, you can just use a simple zigzag. Remember, as a sewist, you don't always have to play by the rules, okay? You got to free yourself up, or it's harder to grow if you don't. If you try to follow everyone's rules all the time, it's much more difficult to grow. So, be a rebel. Okay, there we go. I'm going to sew down these seams. I'm just going to use these clips to hold it in place, so that I don't have to hold everything all the time. I'll show you an overhead view here in a second. I'm also going to show you, we're getting these jumbo clips into the shop, and I really like them not only for bags but for garments because they're really long. And so when you're sewing a 5/8 inch seam allowance, those work nicely. So those will be listed very soon. All right, let's do our shoulders first. Just tell me if I need to move, Ramel, because I got to stand at this weird angle. So right now, I'm going to go back, and I'm going to do a zigzag. I have to turn my knobs a little bit here. I'm going to test this, see if this is, yeah, that looks good. So you can see my needle going back and forth in a zigzag. And you decide the size you want. It doesn't matter. The zigzag stitch helps prevent fraying, and it also will give your garment just a smidge of stretch, just a smidge. Now the overcast stitch that somebody was asking about earlier, that's designed so there is some stretch in the seam. So if you have it, yeah, why not use it? Use what you got. Oh yeah, and I can be doing a 5/8. Ooh, 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 don't do the sleeve, Natalie. Lord. Let me do my other shoulder. I'm going to start from this. I'm just going to start here. Other shoulder seam. You can use a 5/8 inch seam allowance here if you want. That's what the pattern calls for. But like I said in the beginning, I know myself, and I like to test it first. So I take a little bit smaller seam allowance, I try it on, I test it, and then if I know I'll be okay with the 5/8, I can go back in and do the 5/8. What I know myself about, and what I will not do, is if I sew this and it's too small, go and unrip everything. I won't do that. I'll just probably burn it. I know who I am. Okay, do not sew your sleeves together, whatever you do. The armholes. Will you make a kit? I'm going to try, Donna. I will have enough for probably 5, for sure. More than that, I don't know. So Yes, and you know what? I'll offer it to VIPs in tonight's email first. I'm pretty sure you're VIP, Donna. Oh yeah, go ahead. Is the faux lambskin thinner than the moon glow? I wouldn't say thinner. I wouldn't say thinner. I would say more malleable, softer. It's a different feel. Do you remember Wilson's Leather in the 80s, that store in the mall? Tell me if you do. Because remember how soft all their stuff was? That's how this faux lamb's leather is. It's super, super soft. People come in and they ooh and ah over it. I'm not joking. Fire away. Would the shimmers be good for this pattern? As in Kona Sheen? Is that the one, Bethany? You know, honestly, I don't know. I would probably go with the linen metallics instead, the Essex linens with the metallic thread, because the Kona Sheens, they feel really solid, if that makes sense. They feel a little too solid to me. But Bethany, if anyone can break a rule and get away with it, it's you. So why not do it? Try it out. And if you don't like it, you could cut up that garment and put it in a quilt. The Kaufman Shimmers. Yeah, I think that's the Kona, right? Because that's by Robert Kaufman. I'm gonna grab some bolts here in a second. You know what? That'd be a good challenge. I want to see you do that, Bethany, and I want to see that top on you. That'd be amazing. Okay, so the top is together. Now, at this point, you can come in if you want to and trim back the seam allowance a bit. Okay, I love this detail. This is the front. It has like that nice flattering curve, and then this is the back. It's a little longer. So next what we do is we add the neck facing. Now the neck facing is this piece, and you have to cut this on the bias or it won't stretch. So a neck facing and an armpit facing, also called the arm side, they have to be cut on the bias. And what that means is you line up that arrow so that it's up and down according to your fabric underneath it. You don't come in and cut your fabric horizontally. That arrow has to be up and down, and your piece is just like quilt binding so that it has a little stretch. See how that give? You want it to be like that because this has to go around your big head when you put this top on. So you have to have some give. Although this is a big opening, so we'd be okay. I have a big head, so I can say that. I did that bucket hat pattern last year, remember? Which I'm improving, and we're going to have another one. But I always have to sew it with a smaller seam allowance because my head is so big. Physically, not mentally. Okay, so this part, you can totally line this, but I'm not going to. It doesn't bug me. It's such a small part. Anyways, we just sew it together along the short edges. And then you can come in and you fold it in half, like binding. And then you apply this around the neck hole. And then fold it to the inside and sew it down. Now, I should mention, her pattern, she has a link to her full video sew through. So if you've never made this top, you don't need to watch me do this, and I won't finish anymore because all that's left is applying the neck binding and then hemming your sleeves and hemming the bottom. And you can just do a simple fold and you can double fold it again, and there's your hem. It's perfect. Works every time. And now this won't itch me when I wear it because it's got the silky lining. Really important when you're garment sewing. I did turn on my iron. Really important. In fact, it's important for all sewing, bags, quilts, blocks, whatever you're doing. But for a garment, you really want to have a ham. And these are cheap. These are like less than 10 bucks. And you get yourself a ham, and then you can press the seams on a garment easily. And if there's a curve, this ham is curvy. So it allows you to press a 3D seam, if that makes sense. I don't know really how to say that specifically, but it helps a lot, especially for darts. Like I couldn't do a dart without a ham because you want it to mold. You want the fabric, you want to train it to mold around curves. So when I'm doing this curved hem, I'm just going to come in. I'll show you. Yeah, maybe zoom in, Ramel. Thanks. I'm going to first press it like this all the way around, and then I'll fold it again and press it, and I'll use clips to hold this in place, and then I'll sew that down. So I'll just go all the way around the top like that and fold. And for things like sleeves, like I would turn this back right side out. For things like sleeves, first of all, if you have any nonsense like this, trim it. You can always grade your seams on garments. And what that means, if you're grading, you're cutting just one layer shorter than the other. Usually I do a Natalie grade, which means all of it gets cut. Just cut it back so that I'm not dealing with a bunch of layers. I'll move that out of the way, fold, and another fold, double fold hem. And this always looks good because then when I'm going to sew this, I can even catch it from the outside to make sure it looks really nice. See how much seam allowance I have here in this shoulder? This needs to be trimmed down. And it does remind you of this in the pattern. Trim it back. Don't get too close because you want your seam to have some strength. But yeah, you don't need a ton. You don't need a huge old seam there. It'll just end up being bulky. Okay, so there we go. So fire away. What else? What are your questions on this? This was kind of a quick and dirty.
Yeah, it has a question.
Okay. Any good small business shops that sell hams? I sell hams. No, I'm gonna. I'll have them in stock any day now. I'll have more irons. I'll have hams. I'll have, oh, I just restocked the magnetic seam guides if you need that. These are super helpful because if you're used to doing bags like a 1/4 inch seam or you're a quilter and you're used to 1/4 inch seams, it's a big mind shift to switch to 5/8 inch seam. That seam seems huge, enormous. And so I'll put my seam guide on here and make sure my fabric is hitting that edge. Yeah, definitely. You can make your own too, but I don't recommend it. If it's going to take time, why not just get something that's under 10 bucks? Just save yourself the time and energy. So yeah, I'll list those today so that you can shop with me. Thank you so much. We'll have a blog post too for you with all this good stuff in there. And I'm going to finish my top and then I'll put it on. If you saw my Instagram post earlier this week, that was a version without lining and I could not wear it for more than 10 minutes. So that's why I'm making myself a new one. That first top, I'm not mad at myself because I'll just cut it up. I'll use it in patchwork quilts or in a bag or a zipper pouch or something else. Like sometimes that happens, so just ease up on yourself, okay? What else, Ramel? Anything else? That's all she wrote? What are we coming in at? 34 minutes.
We are.
Awesome. All right, well, let me think. What news do I have for you? We have a winner.
Oh, yeah.
And who is it? Di. Oh, yay. She'll probably watch tomorrow because she's in the UK. Congrats, Di. That is awesome.
She's actually watching right now.
She is?
Yeah, she was earlier.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, I guess it's only, what, 7 there or something like that? 6, I forget. Okay, so I think that's it. Tonight I will be sending out a VIP email. I'm not going to show you right now because I don't want to put too many things in this episode. But there's a new vinyl coming out, and there's new hardware. And so VIPers in your email tonight, you will get first dibs, all right? If you want to join VIP, it's on the main page. Just scroll down a little bit and you'll see Join VIP.
Can I do this?
Sure. Oh, that's so cool, Ramel. How long did you work on that? That's pretty cool. All right, I will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for being here. Have a great weekend. Take some time for you. All right, bye.